Hi everyone, it's me Monica P. Hall, aka Conduit of Healing, and I wanted to do a quick video to share with you some messages I've gotten about the collective and for the collective from my crew, from Spirit. And before I get into that, please, I would be so grateful if you would hit the like button on this video so that more people will become aware of it. And if you enjoy what I've been doing with Conduit of Healing and you want to know what's going on with me in the future, please subscribe to this channel. Now, on to the message. First thing, do not fall into the trap of lack in 2021. What does that mean? For example, as you know, we have a major shift going on and an overhaul going on in our economy, not just in the US here where I live, but globally. Companies are laying people off, they're furloughing people, not necessarily because they're crying poor, as they have probably said to people, but they are just trying to protect their profit margin themselves. Unfortunately, that means casualties of people like me and you, and our finances, our homes, our health, our ability to feed ourselves, and basically our well-being. So don't fall into the trap of the haves and the have-nots. The haves intend to, insist on continuing to be the haves, and the have-nots are going to have to start reconfiguring their lives, how they approach life and how they approach the system in order to not only survive, but figure out a new way to thrive and to be and to live. Okay, that's number one. And I'm talking about this because I've already seen it start to happen. I have seen us, say we need support, emotional support for, from one another, to be cheered on, to be celebrated, not because we've done something per se, but because we're still here. I right now, I feel like every life that is still a life that's embodied deserves to be celebrated. Yes, that's my cat Magic. Please excuse him. I can never do any of these things without him just being himself. So that's the number one thing. Do not close down your hearts to one another. Do not close down, the joy that we get from seeing one another achieve. Okay? We can inspire one another even still during this dark time. Even still during a time where human beings are really, unfortunately, showing the darker aspects of ourselves. And what do I mean by that? I mean people who don't want to wear their mask. People who don't want to wear their masks and don't care that they are putting other lives in danger. We have seen so many heartbreaking situations that demonstrate we are not separate from one another. We are one. We are one in that we are now trying to work through a pandemic that is global. Our interacting and our ability to affect one another in a way that can mean life or death one another, that part's not new. I think what people are finding to be very shocking is the amount of apathy that people are demonstrating, in that they really don't care that they're adversely affecting the lives of complete strangers, if that means that they can do what they want to do when they want to do it. It's been a very dark time in that way, that we are noticing that collectively speaking, we're actually not who we proclaim to be. We can be greedy, and most of us unfortunately are, and we are doing it in small, subtle ways. Not wearing our mask is just one demonstration of it, right? We are seeing now, as this vaccine gets rolled out in the US, the hierarchy of classism, the hierarchy of race, of gender. How can these things be at play during an incredibly important time like this? And the answer is It always has been. And it's not something we can continue to allow. It really isn't. One of the things that I know that human beings, we have a difficult time with is change. We are still under the delusion that we can have dominion over one another, that we can have dominion over the planet, that we can destroy things and use them up at will and not care about the consequences, even though the consequences oftentimes have killed us. We've also been, deluded and misinformed to think that the majority rules. And that can't be the case, because the majority of the world doesn't hold power. And when I say power, I don't mean real power. I mean financial power. I mean the right to tell someone that in your mind you believe that they don't deserve to exist based on fill in the blank. We don't create life, we create bodies. And I think that distinction needs to be made. We, like other animals in this reality, on this planet, can procreate to create vessels. But the spark of the divine that actually makes us alive, that's not ours. That's not ours to give, nor should it be ours to take away. But here we are. So it's very important that you do not allow what's to come to continue to frighten you into becoming someone that you don't want to be. Support one another. And when I say support one another, for the small things. Celebrate one another for the small things. I am so happy you're here to have this conversation with me. I'm so happy, that you are figuring out a way through this difficult time that we're all going through. I'm so happy that you have found love for yourself, for someone else, someone to share your life with. I'm so happy that you're starting a new business. Let me support you. How can I support you? Because I really am starting to get this sense that people want to hold on to things so tightly, and then there's this underlying resentment towards any expression of happiness. I mean, I guess the good thing is that a lot of people have started really reevaluating themselves, their lives, their relationships. That's a good thing. I know that we have been able to, in the past, use our jobs, our status, our money to avoid being alone with ourselves, getting to know ourselves, working through our own personal issues. But we really should have been doing this all along. It makes me so sad to know that our species requires crisis after chaos, after pandemic, after destruction, after disasters, in order to wake up to what we should have been doing all along. You know what? I've described it as the universe is like, saying to us, listen, I'm really sick of talking to you ill-mannered children. I keep telling you we have to ascend, and you keep telling me, no, not right now. I don't want to change right now. I don't want to do it right now. Can I do it tomorrow? Let me just go to work. Let me just go on this vacation. Let me just go to the movies. Let me distract. And boom, here we all are, with not a lot of options to avoid change. Why are we like this? Why can't we learn from our own history? Why can't we proactively start answering this intuitive, this energetic pull that the universe is giving all of us? It says, come on. It's time to go forward. It's time to evolve. Why don't we do that? Has anybody, other than me, obviously, imagine what if we proactively, consciously grew ourselves? So, this past year, didn't matter how much money you had, what job you had, whatever, you were going to feel this pandemic. Whether you were going to have firsthand experience with the simple act of breathing and how precious that is, whether it's been like me, you've had those you love and are close to you get sick and worried and struggled with the fact that there was really nothing you could do. You couldn't go to them, you couldn't be with them. The fact that we've had to become more creative about how we hold on to one another, whether it be a video chat, whether it be more text messages, more telephone calls, whatever, and how precious we are in one another's lives and relationships. Our relationship with ourselves is the most important relationship we're going to have. So a lot of us have been forced to kind of deal with it. I've said before and I'll say again, I'm very wary of people who avoid spending time alone with themselves, because when you don't want to spend time with yourselves, that means you have a problem with yourself. When you don't want to be alone with you, when you avoid it at all costs, and now you're in a situation where you can't avoid it. And I think it's shaking a lot of people to their very, very core. I know you're all expecting 2021 to fix all this and make it magically go back to whatever time you deemed good, normal. Two things. There's no such thing as normal, and there's no such thing as good. There's life happening all around us, and then there's our reaction to what's happening all around us. And sometimes the way that we react is very thoughtful, it is wise, it is graceful, and sometimes it's just a shit show. And the thing is regardless of how you acted in a moment, you know, thankfully get another moment, and you can clean up a mess if you need to clean up a mess, or you can continue to learn and grow if you want to. But one thing I know for sure is this: anyone who's saying right now that they have not had access to the tools, to the knowledge, to rule books, tools, whatever, to become the person they need to be in order to help all of us create the world that we all proclaim to want to live in, isn't being honest. Avoiding the tools, avoiding the knowledge, avoiding the wisdom is not the same as not having it. We are in a time where there are so many coaches, there's so many therapists, there's so many advisors. Heck, I'm a psychic. There's so many psychics. If you really want to be consciously part of the betterment of yourself, and therefore the betterment of the world that we are collectively the DNA of, then it is your responsibility to go seek it. We're not going to have a lot of options to do otherwise. We didn't have it in 2020, and the way this vaccine is rolling out, 2021 is still going to be more challenges up ahead. So I wanted to say that to you. I wanted to say, if you have not proactively understood with every fiber of your being that you cannot be who you were, that you must become who you know you should be, get started. The way the vaccines are rolling out, we're still going to be dealing with this pandemic in 2021. The way the economy looks, we're going to be still dealing with unemployment like we've never seen, well, at least people my age haven't seen in a lifetime. Housing crisis, increase in homelessness. And here's the thing: people like you and me will care. People in corporations who own things and look at profit margins and only care about those things and only care about shareholders, they don't care. We are living in a time right now. I'm living in a country right now where everybody pays taxes, and now we have a government that basically is telling us you can't have your own money back. So it's going to become very, very critical that you develop a good relationship with yourself, that you develop your intuition, and that you start listening, answering, and following the directives of the universe, because everything outside of you has led you to the point where you're not sure. We're not sure. We're really not sure. And you know, as we approach the unknown, this is one thing you can be sure of, and this is kind of how the future is. You may not know where we're going, and I mean, I do to a certain extent, because of my relationship with spirit. But not all the details. Even as psychics, we don't get all the details. We don't have to know that part, where you're going, but you do need to know who you are as you go on this journey. As you're moving forward, who are you? Who are you? Do you trust that person? Do you like that person? These are really critical things that we need to start thinking about right now. You know, unfortunately, a lot of us miss the many memos that the universe tried to give us. You know, you heard of a great shift, and then, oh, let's just put that away, right? Seeing all the climate change, oh, let's just put that away. We're seeing the markets change. We're seeing, you know, companies caring less and less about employees. Insurance, you don't need insurance. I mean, if you do, figure it out. A home, you know, clean water, clean air. All the things we need to sustain life have been threatened, you know, by things outside of us for quite some time, and we've been ignoring it. And now we're at a point where we can't ignore things, and it's shaking people. So you need to figure out who, not only who you are, but who you want to be. And if who you are isn't actually who you want to be, figure out how to make it happen. Okay? It's critical. It is critical. I would say it's a matter of life and death, but I mean, do I really have to say that again? Has no one figured this out? It's not just a pandemic. It's a system falling apart. And we have to think about, what are we going to do when it finally does? Who are we going to be? So I just wanted to say that. Thank you so much for your time. If you have been following me for quite some time, I hope you're enjoying this material. I have so much more that I'm going to be doing in 2021 to assist you in any way that I can. And yes, we're closing the chapter on 2020 in theory, but the energies that have been revealed are not going anywhere. This is our time to upgrade. Please, please, please do it consciously. Choose it. Embrace with it. Work with it. Flow with it. Do whatever you got to do. Resisting, don't do it. Okay? Thanks so much. Namaste.